Good afternoon. Good to see you guys again. All right, welcome to a midweek check-in. What is a midweek check-in? Well, these videos I'm going to try and set out at least once a week just to catch up on what's going on with our humanities class this week. We're not dealing with Zoom just yet. I'll explain why in a second. So here's the agenda for today. Now, basically, we're going to deal with four things today. First, we'll talk about Zoom. Where is Zoom? Why aren't we using it quite as often anymore? We do have a reason. Next up, today, we will look at, exactly what assignments do we have this week. There were a few of them. Yes, it's the first week and it feels busy. But remember, every day we do this work at home gets us one day closer to summer when this work at home thing hopefully comes to an end. One day closer to the end of all that, all right? After that, we have a quick lesson today, a quick lesson to prep for the test. Yeah, there's a test on Friday. I'm giving you a test when you're working at home. Well, it's stuff that you've been working with for quite a bit already. You've been working with Latin stems for a while. It'll be not too tough. Finally, we're going to check in with Mac. Remember our old buddy Mac? Yeah, we'll check in with him. So, stick around. All right, first up, Zoom. Where is it? Well, we will be using it more soon. We're just working on upgrading the security now, making sure it works as efficiently as possible, but Zoom will be back. Just keep watching on Canvas and on your email for announcements. Okay, next up, your homework check-in. How do we know? Well, we're keeping track. We're writing it down on Post-its or something, right? But here's what we got for your homework check-in. You're going to have your brain pop due Wednesday. Well, that's tonight. But hey, if it's not done on time, if you need more time, hey, it's a little bit late. It won't help your behavior grade, but you can still get a full academic grade. Just get your brain pop turned in. Next up, your Latin stems. Latin stems number 5. It is due Thursday. It's going to be on that test, by the way. You just turn it into Canvas just like you always would. The test, though, how's that test going to work? It is going to be an at-home test. Yes, you can use your cheat sheet. Lucky you, use that cheat sheet. Look at it while you're taking the test. We'll talk about that test later on today, but it will open up Friday. You can take it anytime Friday or Saturday or Sunday or Monday. It'll stay open from Friday morning until Monday night. That's all you really need to do to ace this week, and then you can party like Mac. Sound good? Sure. All right. Let's get on to today's lesson, prepping for your Latin stems test. Here we go. All right, how do we prepare for this test? Latin stems 1 through 5, your test preparation lesson starts right now. The questions are, how do I study for this test? How do I survive this test? Okay, first up, when is the test? The test is going to be available, like I said in the video, Friday at 9 a.m. until Monday at midnight. You got 4 days to do this test. It's not really a test, it's basically a take-home assignment. Not really as scary as a test. So, where is the test? Well, it is on Canvas, but look for the link on Friday. You can take it anytime you want. What is the test exactly? Well, it is a Google Forms test, which we've done before. 20 multiple choice questions, 10 short answer questions. The only key deal about this test is, since it is a Google Forms test, Google Forms mean you can't start working, save your work, and then come back to it later. The minute you start taking it, finish it through to the end, or you might lose all your work and have to start again. So you've been warned. All right, now let's look at what this test is actually going to look like. Let's look at some actual grading. There will be 20 multiple choice questions that are worth 1 grade for conventions, grammar conventions. That's how well are you spotting the actual Latin roots. There will also be 10 short answer questions. That is worth 1 grade for applying your knowledge. How well can you explain your knowledge of the stems roots and explain how you're solving these problems? 2 different types of questions. Let's take a look. Okay, the multiple choice question, here's an example of one. If Chris goes on a bi-coastal trip, how many coasts is he visiting? Before you even look at the answers, you know it's a Latin stems test. So, spot any familiar words, any familiar stems? Maybe you do. If you don't, let's check out the possible answers. All right, how many coasts did Chris go to? 1, 2, 50, or orange? Okay, you're smart enough to know at least one of those is totally wrong. You've also probably spotted there's a key word here that has a familiar Latin stem. Bi for bi-coastal. Do you remember what bi means? Even if you're not quite sure, take a look at the answers here. It's definitely not going to be orange. That's a ridiculous, don't you dare choose that one kind of answer. It's probably not going to be 50. Not too many people go to 50 coasts. Is it 1 or is it 2? Well, if I look at 1, I'm kind of thinking no, because I remember that bi from my studies and from my cheat sheet that I'm using, bi means 2. So the answer is clearly 2. That's how you ace any multiple choice question you come to, and there are plenty of those on the test. Some of them are a little more difficult though. We sometimes call these the multiple choice questions. What am I talking about? Why am I being so mean? Well, first let's take a look. Sample question. Since Dr. Kim helps people with their hearing, she specializes in blank problems. But Mr. Byrne, I don't see a Latin stem here anywhere. Well, yep, look at the options. You gotta look at multiple words before you figure out the answer. All right, equitable, symmetrical, auditory, external. These are all much bigger, higher level words. How do we figure out which word goes in that blank? Okay, first, let's think. Do we spot any familiar stems, or do we spot any clues in the sentence as well? First off, if you're totally confused about the meaning of those words, like we always do, break them down into pieces. Detective work. Look for a familiar stem. I'm thinking back to my cheat sheet, thinking back to my studies. There's one right there, equi. And sim, there's another. Thinking back, there's another, x. I recognize all of those from my cheat sheet. All right, does it matter what they mean? Okay, I know what they mean though, because I studied nice and hard. I know that equi means equal. I remember that sim means together. I remember that audi means sound or to hear something. I remember that x means from or out. So back to your sentence. What are our clues? Okay, there's a doctor. Their name is Kim. They help people. They help people with hearing. They have a specialty on some kind of problem. Wait a minute. Hearing. Wait a minute. A doctor who specializes in symmetrical problems. Audits. Oh, you know what? Audi means sound. Wouldn't it make sense that she helps someone with auditory problems? It's got to be audi. It's got to be auditory goes in that blank. All right, that's how you fix a multiple choice question. Let's take a look now at the short answer questions. They're fill in the blanks, sort of, but you need to type these in complete sentences like we always do, right? So usually you'll see a regular multiple choice question like the one we had before. If Chris goes on a bi-coastal trip, how many coasts is he visiting? Okay, we already figured out the answers too. And the teacher asks you one of those deeper probing detective questions, the why question or the how question. Explain how you figured out the answer to question number 1. Show your knowledge of the stem's meaning. Feels like a 2-part question, but it's really just a 1-sentence answer. Just explain how you figured this out. Now, don't be one of the Patrick Starfish people who says, okay, I'm going to write the shortest, simplest answer possible. Okay, SpongeBob, because by is 2. That explains how I figured out the answer and shows the knowledge of the stem's meaning. Patrick, no, buddy. No. Way too simple, way too silly. And by the way, look at all the errors we can spot right here. There's no capital letter at the beginning. There's no period at the end. And would you really read this sentence? Because it means to. What's it? What means to? It's not even a complete sentence. Totally wrong. You guys are smarter and better and tougher than that. Do you show your knowledge of the stem's meaning? And are you even explaining how you figured out the answer? Okay, well, let's take a look at another possible answer here. I call this the minion style answer. Some folks think, you know what, I'll just throw a bunch of words on there. I'll type as much as I possibly can and just, fill it up, and that'll probably be enough to get it right. And I'll read something like this. Well, it's because by means to, and there's 2 coasts there, so it has to be 2 since that's the meaning. All right, well, you know what? It's not entirely wrong, but there are some major issues with this answer. For one, don't ever say things like, well, or I think, or I guess. No, we're not casual. You guys are smart academics. You are being word detectives here. You also don't need to use words like it. It is vague. It's unclear. It's unworthy of a student of your brain power. And by the way, even though we did show the meaning, show the knowledge of the meaning, I like the way they quoted the stem, and they said by means to. Okay, great. But it didn't really explain how they figured out the answer. Explain is a key word here. Explain means basically walk us through your thought process. The minion doesn't do that. The minion just makes a bunch of noise. Better than Patrick, but still not quite 100% correct. What you're going for is a cougar level answer. Something like this. Explain. Since by means to, then if Chris goes on a bi-coastal trip, that means he goes to 2 coasts. All right, let's look closely. Let's proofread our work to make sure. All right, we capitalize the beginning. We got a period at the end. It's a complete sentence. Nice use of the commas to offset that phrase in the middle. Do we identify the stem? Right there. Do we mention the key word and use it effectively? Right there. Bi-coastal trip. Do we show our knowledge of the stem's meaning? We say it means he goes to 2 coasts. I like the way this is in 3 clear steps. Well, number 1, by means to. Step number 2, then if Chris goes on a bi-coastal trip, then step number 3, that means he goes to 2 coasts. So did we explain how we figured out the answer to question 1? We did. We said, well, if bi means 2 and his trip is bi-coastal, then clearly he is going to 2 coasts. Did we also show our knowledge of the stem's meaning? Yep, right there. We said bi means 2. Perfect. Another example. With that Dr. Kim question, we'll get that same type of question. Explain how you figured out the answer to number 5. Show your knowledge of the stem's meaning. All right. As long as you explain how you figured it out and you show your knowledge of the stem's meaning, you'll be able to write something super like this. Dr. Kim helps people with hearing problems, and since audi means hear, she probably specializes in auditory problems. Okay, did we show our meaning? Did we use the stem? Yep, it's right there. Did we explain which keyword helped us figure this out? Yep, we mentioned it has to do with hearing. And did we explain some clues from the sentence that helped us make up our mind? Yep. Did we show that we understand that that keyword auditory has to do with problems involving hearing because it has audi in it? Exactly. That's how you nail this test. All right. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you need to finish up this week. As long as your Brain Pop's done, you've turned it in on Brain Pop, you've turned in your Latin stems on Canvas, and you're ready for that test on Friday, you're all good. The test opens Friday morning, and once you've nailed that, you have totally succeeded this week in humanities. I'm proud of you if you've made it this far, and since you're here at the end, you're going to stick around for one final Latin stems review session with Mac, and I will see you guys next time. Email me with questions, but for now, Mac, review time. Take it away, buddy.